It's not all on Magic Johnson, and it's not all on Rob Pelinka. The problems the Lakers are having they predated them. Like some of the deals that were made and the picks that were made, the contracts that were doled out, they predated them. The Lakers have actually done a really good job drafting over the years, the last couple of years. I mean, they probably wouldn't be in this position if they drafted Jason Tatum over Lonzo Ball, but their back end of the first-round picks, whether it's Hart or Kuzma, they have been excellent. So they've been good.
They've been good on the number 2 overall picks in order. D'Angelo, Ingram, Lonzo is underwhelming. But the picks
D'Angelo wasn't Magic, though, right?
No, correct. I thought you meant the organization as a whole. So you mean just this brain trust. But you're right. In the Kuzma part, Zubats looks like a value pick, all that. Go ahead.
No, I mean, that's basically it. Like, it's not... It will be disappointing, but I wouldn't point the finger at Magic Johnson. You had said earlier in the show, though, Nick, that you think the Lakers have done everything. I was talking to somebody over there 2 nights ago. They really haven't done everything. Everything would be 4 first-round picks and 3 swap rights. That would be everything. Now, you may say that's crazy, but it's kind of what the Nets did in that deal they made with Boston.
Well, the Nets did 3 first-round picks and 2 swap rights.
Okay, but we haven't heard that yet. We haven't heard 3 firsts, and we haven't heard swap rights in any of these discussions yet. Well, so they haven't done everything they could possibly do.
But I'm of the belief that right now the Lakers could offer exactly what you said, and the Pelicans say, okay, thanks, we'll let you know. And then it's going to be after 3 p.m., and it's going to go past. And then I think the Pelicans' strategy is see what the Lakers' absolute maximum offer is. So this summer, if they come back to us, we say it starts there. To find out what they can say, you already offered us this. It would appear to me they have had no intention all along of giving in to Anthony Davis's trade request, and I think they're being cheered on not only by Danny Ainge, who wants to get in on this, but GMs and teams that have no chance of getting in on Anthony Davis that just want the power shifted back from the player to the organization, and maybe that don't love the large markets dominating and lording over the small markets.
I would agree with you, and 2 things here. One, I've been writing for days that I didn't think this trade was going to happen because I know there are people inside the Pelicans organization that want to wait for multiple reasons. For Boston, for the first-round picks.
Which are legitimate.
Legitimate reasons. Now, a debatable position is that I'm sure that inside that organization, there are people really upset at the representatives for Anthony Davis. Very upset by it. They don't like how this has all gone down. They completely understood that come July 1st, they were probably going to have to make a deal involving Anthony Davis. He was going to reject their extension, and that would force their hand. But their hand being forced this early, they have put that on the representatives for Anthony Davis, and they're not happy about it at all. So I think there's a strong part of people, there's a strong position in that organization that Anthony Davis in some ways is being used as a pawn, is being used as a guy that, all right, it's really LeBron that wants Anthony Davis and not Anthony Davis so much that wants LeBron.
Well, the Pelicans, they need to center their energy on whose fault or who you can blame, and that's on the player. All right? Clutch Sports is working for the player. Anthony Davis let Clutch Sports know, I want out of this deal. We weren't surprised by that. He's not going to stay with the Pelicans. So because they can't take it out on Anthony Davis, all right? Because they can't do anything to him. They can't say anything to him. And if they do that, it's going to affect other players in the future and how they deal with the Pelicans. So all they can do is take out their frustration, and typically that means blame on Clutch Sports and or the Lakers. It's their fault that the Pelicans haven't put a good team around Anthony Davis.
So explain this to me, though. Explain to me why it is bad for the Pelicans. If Anthony Davis, once this team was as bad as they were, once they were clearly not going to be in the playoffs, and once he knew, I am not going to sign that extension this summer, why was it bad for the Pelicans to have an extra window? If he doesn't let them know till this summer, they have one window to trade him, which is this summer. Letting them know, it's not. If this would have come out 2 days after the trade deadline, I was like, well, that's poor form. You're just causing disruption. Why is it bad for the Pelicans to give them a 10-day runway saying, hey, I'm not going to be here this summer if you want to move me now or this summer? Because he has not once said, I demand to be traded by the deadline. He's just saying, I'm not re-signing and I want to be traded. Why is it bad for them to have the information?
That's kind of semantics, like that. I want to be traded before the deadline, but I'm saying it. I don't care about the deadline.
But he said he's going to play. He's going to play after the deadline. He wants to play after the deadline.
Of course, said all that. It's not a problem that you tell the Pelicans now that you want to trade. The problem is you take it public and you make all this a storyline beforehand. That has creased the Pelicans in their front office. And look, you can make a strong argument that LeBron James needs Anthony Davis more than Anthony Davis needs LeBron James at this point.
Sure.
Because if Anthony Davis, and his people got to know this, and LeBron's people got to know this, if Anthony Davis goes to free agency in 2020, how sure are we he's going to want to sign with the Lakers? Because LeBron James at that point, what, 36?
36.
In that 36 year, what will the Lakers look like? They may not get anybody this summer. The free agency class outside of Anthony Davis in 2020 isn't all that strong. This, to me, is LeBron James needing Anthony Davis and being orchestrated as such.
So let me ask you a question. We asked you how much of this falls on Magic Johnson. Does some of this fall on LeBron James then?
No, I don't think it falls on LeBron James, but I think it's naive to think that all this isn't happening with LeBron's knowledge. They share an agent, and I would imagine the strategy about all this is discussed on some level. Now, we can debate what level it's discussed on, but LeBron had to know that when this all came out, even if you're not naming players who are going to be involved in it, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that, yeah, Ingram, Kuzma, Ball, all these top-tier young talents.
This is what I want to know. Should LeBron have put a stop to it? Should LeBron have said to Rich Paul, listen, I know it's conflict of interest, but what your client, who you are generating a lot of money from, essentially paying you a lot of money, what he wants is to come to the Lakers. But that could screw up my thing. Can you imagine, let's say it was a player not Anthony Davis, and there's a player that wants to get with the Lakers, and we find out that LeBron goes to Rich and says, hey, man, you can't steer him here. It's not what I want. We kill him for that. And so now what seems to be the public perception is that Rich Paul, the agent, you got an agent, right?
I do.
Do you work for him?
No.
Oh, he works for you, right? Jenna, you got an agent.
Same.
Did he come to you and be like, Jenna, you're taking this first things first job, don't give a damn what you think? Or did you come to him?
Of course not, yes.
Okay. So Rich Paul, the way it's being perceived is Rich Paul is pulling the strings of a 25-year-old, 100-millionaire superstar Anthony Davis. But Rich Paul's strings are being pulled by LeBron James. So it's a three-tier puppeteering led by the small forward of the Los Angeles Lakers, as opposed to Anthony Davis doesn't have agency over himself. When does LeBron James have blackmail info on Anthony Davis? If you don't demand a trade, explain where am I missing it?
Puppeteering is a bit strong. I mean, I think that Anthony Davis's representatives and to a degree LeBron, they kind of rolled the dice here, that they could force a trade by going public like this. Here's my problem. Here's my counter to you, Nick. Before all this, we didn't hear a whisper from Anthony Davis wanting out of New Orleans. We didn't hear a grumble, a private sourcing, nothing. We knew going into the offseason that he was probably going to reject that extension because that was his one time to have some power. And we also know, and at least I know, Anthony Davis does not like being the villain. He does not like wearing the black hat. So I don't think it's a stretch to say this strategy was brought to him. And yes, he signed off on it. Ultimately, it falls in his lap. But do you think if he had the same representative he fired before,
why did he fire that rep?
I think there are a few reasons behind it. I know there are a few reasons behind it.
Okay, so when he fired that rep, and he had all the agents, every agent in the world would want to rep him, why did he pick Rich Paul? He just didn't know? He didn't know? Like, why are we acting like Anthony Davis is an infant child? Anthony Davis made a decision, a big boy decision. I'm going to go with Rich Paul. I know there's going to be noise, and that's because I want to get to L.A. Guess what? It's because he wanted to get to L.A. I'm then going to tell Rich Paul to go public with it. Why? Where's the agency of the player?
But this is not... Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I mean, we're not surprised that Anthony Davis told the Pelicans this season. After, when they didn't sign Boogie Cousins, they didn't add anyone, they're not competitive this year. Like, we're surprised. So what's best for Anthony Davis? Forget about everybody. Forget Clutch. Forget the Lakers. What's best for Anthony Davis this season? What would have been best for him?
Play out the season.
Are you crazy?
On a bad team, it wouldn't have been best for him to get to the team he wants to sign an extension with now?
Why wouldn't you warn him before to see...
3 months is that like...
A playoff run. Why
waste another season?
Yeah, wouldn't it be best for him?
You literally thought it was better for him to stay there, play with the Pelicans, don't say anything, and just open it up this summer. Well, I mean, that's better for Boston, but that's not better. We're talking about Anthony Davis.
Agreed. But we're also looking. Look, the Pelicans, when he made this trade request, I think they were like 5 games out of that playoff spot. It wasn't.
Oh, come on.
I'm
they
just
were
saying,
in 13th place.
That's not the difference. They're 5 games out of play. It doesn't matter what place they're in. That's how far back. It wasn't a Phoenix Suns type of season. They weren't circling the drain.
But hold on. Let's just pretend for a moment this weird rule that the Kyrie Anthony Davis thing wasn't there. Okay?
Yeah.
And let's just say that the Celtics could trade for him. And he says, you know what? This team's not going anywhere. Boston desperately wants me. I don't want 1 extra playoff run. I want 2. I demand a trade. Would that be the smartest thing for Anthony Davis if he was trying to get to Boston and they were allowed to trade for him? Of course it would.
Yes.
And I understand, and I am as guilty of this as anybody, and you make fun of me, of making the entire NBA world circle around LeBron James. I get it. But the idea that Anthony Davis has been a passive, just passenger on this trajectory, he fired his agent. He hired Rich Paul. He told Rich Paul did not say, hey, man, LeBron said it's go time, push the button. Like, you can't do that. He said, go make the trade request. I'm going to tell my teammates, you tell management, and then we're going to go public with it. He is the one that said Lakers, Clippers, Bucks, Knicks. That is Anthony Davis's doing. I got no problem with it. But the idea that we're blaming the agent, who's actually not even in control, it's the player in another city, because LeBron also, by the way, is the one, if we don't know, he's the one giving Magic the trade proposals. He's listing Kuzma and Ingram and Ball. That's on LeBron, too. LeBron's multi-team GM and agent and best player in the world. He got a lot on his plate. I'm not surprised he's a little dinged up.
The going public.
There's a lot going on.
Going public was the biggest mistake. Going public has kickstarted this firestorm. If he had just requested the trade, not gone public, we probably wouldn't be here today.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.